6:30, we'll call a meeting to order. Begin with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll begin with the town administrator's report. Bob?
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item, we have a new chart of accounts that will go into effect on July 1. This is preparation of the new chart, which will have enormous advantages to the town, certainly improving our accounting system and improving our ability to make reports electronically to the state and other agencies. We had this prepared this spring. It's been underway really since about February, I think, as part of the program that Mark Abraham's associates provided with the training and so forth to the new town accountant. So that's going to go into effect July 1. I don't think it'll have any impact on the public at all, but it will certainly enable the town to provide more accurate financial information when requested. Anything else to say on that, Kelly? No. Okay. Also officially announced that I was informed by our health agent, Phil Legere, that he has accepted another position. He will be leaving full-time employment by the town at the end of this month. He did agree to help out during the transition, during the period when we are recruiting a new health agent on a per diem basis when called. So, as you know, we had a series of problems when our building inspector departed earlier this year, and work wasn't getting done, people were unhappy, so I've arranged that he will be available to keep the wheels turning during the transition as we recruit another health agent. The town clerk vault project is underway. Expected that the project will be completed by the middle of next month or perhaps a little bit later, and that we will relocate the clerk to this building. Also want to mention that the COA project is also going forward, and they expect to be able to relocate to the new building at the same time period, late July, early August. And so the town will be closing two of our buildings, two of our old, inefficient buildings, and we'll have one new, more efficient building, and we'll move the clerk down here, and we hope this will help save on fuel and utilities in the coming years. The OPEB actuarial study will also be completed in the next few months. OPEB means Other Post-Employment Benefits. The Government Accounting Standards Board, it's a federal agency, has required cities and towns all across the United States to carry on their balance sheet the obligations that they have to support health insurance mainly, but also other life insurance and so forth, for employees when they retire. So when you retire and you're a public employee in this community and practically every other one, you don't go off the rolls completely. You have rights to continue health insurance in particular, and that's a significant cost to the town. And we are now in the process of developing a funding schedule. We'll have the actuarial study that will tell us what the obligation is going to be over the coming years, and I would hope that sometime during fiscal 16 we can begin putting funds aside. This is very similar to what cities and towns in Massachusetts were required to do in 1988 with their pension systems, which were also unfunded prior to '88. Now we set aside funds every year and invest them so that when employees retire, we will have most, if not in all, of the future obligation funded from those investments that were made during their career. Collective bargaining, I will update you on labor issues and so forth at the executive session later on tonight. There is, let's see, that you have a list there of some highway projects. Also, Kelly is here. She's still in the process of putting the town's financial records in order for fiscal 2013 and fiscal 2014. You want to give the board an update on the timing for when we will have balance sheets that we can submit to the Department of Revenue Office?
Well, I'm hoping to have FY13, I'm hoping to have done by first part of October, would probably be my best estimate. I have discovered way more issues than I originally had anticipated. A lot of it is dealing with the tying between city and town and what was actually put in VADAR. I've actually found accounts that were never even put into VADAR. So I'm making sure that I've got all of those covered. So it's going to take a little bit longer than I thought. I was hoping to have it done by the end of the summer, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer. But that should be all of FY13, and then it shouldn't take me very long to do FY14. You know, hopefully I'll have good balances to go with, and it won't take as long to get that started.
Okay. The work is going forward, and from time to time she comes into my office with a surprise that we didn't know about. Some of them would make front page news, so we're taking care of them. Chapter 90 update. I just thought I would put some numbers here since we are discussing how we want to use Chapter 90. I met with the highway superintendent earlier, and we did use $82,000 of our current Chapter 90 funding as part of the highway or Route 101 project. We used the state pothole money plus $82,000 more in order to complete Route 101. That leaves us with $439,000 in Chapter 90. The first phase, you can hear more about this tonight, but the first phase for the engineering for Royalston Road is going to cost $130,000. That will come out of the current year Chapter 90 amount. If you subtract that out, the town will have $309,000 remaining in Chapter 90 for projects during fiscal 2015 and 16, actually mostly 2016. These projects will get underway. I think the decision, again, this will go to a later part of the agenda, the decision that the board has to make, and listening to the residents of the town, is to what extent these funds should be entirely devoted to street and road resurfacing and reconstruction, and to what extent some funds might be taken for the purchase of an excavator to replace the unit that, does it still sit outside? The unit that sits outside, and which was used today for the vault project. The choices are, I think, three. Number one, keep the current unit, but as you walk out the door, take a look at it, you'll see that it's leaking hydraulic fluid onto the tires. And so it's going to have to be taken apart completely and rebuilt, not knowing what will be found. but being aware that it's a 1989 model and that parts are unobtainable. In some cases, parts are going to have to be fabricated in order to put the machine in working order for another year or two. The second choice would be to find a used vehicle, a used unit. Bud has done some work there. He'll talk to you about that later on, some of those costs. And the third choice would be to purchase a new one, either using all Chapter 90 money, which I think would really squeeze the program this year, or maybe some Chapter 90 money and then some free cash, which we would probably be able to get certified by the beginning of next year. So the unit that we currently have would be used for the construction season this year, and any purchase would take place after we get free cash certified. You have in your packet a draft of a town dress code. I reviewed this with the department heads last week. There are a few loose ends to tie up, but as Diane and Holly are working on personnel policy.
Alicia.
Pardon?
Alicia.
I don't mean Holly, I mean Alicia, I'm sorry. You're only in there every day, the two of you. Diana and Alicia are working on an updating of our policy, and clearly, while we're not going to require jackets and ties for the males, we are going to have some basic standard, so-called business casual, because this is a business office, and we show respect for the residents and the citizens that we serve by being appropriately dressed. I'm not saying that we currently have people inappropriately dressed, but we want to establish the standard while we're in this process of updating. So you have that in your packet. If you have any comments, happy to hear them. You're going to get a cable TV update later on tonight. We have the Selectmen's goals, which I think we need to maybe at the next meeting determine what overarching goals we're going to have for the coming fiscal year. And lastly, Mr. Tereshak is here from Cook Pond Estates, came in, wants to address the board. So he is here.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to Tyler Wallerman from Senator Goby's office. Tyler, you want to come up?
Thanks, I'll be quick. My name is Tyler Wallerman. I'm Senator Goby's district director. My position in her office is to work with municipal governments. I live and work within the district, so I wanted to come by and just introduce myself to all of you, the selectmen, the town administrator, and met yet, and other officials. Senator Goby, of course, has a close relationship with Templeton, represented for 12 years in the House of Representatives, and now that she is your senator, she wanted to make sure that I'm out here to be able to address municipal issues and also constituent concerns whenever they come up. So I just wanted to come by and make sure you knew that you could contact me with anything you needed for our office, or that you needed us to troubleshoot for the state government for you. Have business cards, and otherwise I'd be happy. I also hold office hours in the town every month. In Templeton, they haven't been very well attended, but that's perfectly okay. We'll continue to hold them for anything you guys might need. I was thinking of switching over to the senior center, actually, to be able to talk to constituents there, but otherwise we're here for whatever you need.
While we have them, we understand that Senator Goby has a line item in the state budget that would restore the $85,000 state grant for the Templeton Center Playground that was cut by the governor during the fiscal crisis. As you'll hear later on tonight, that cut has really caused financial dislocation for us. We'll survive it, but it's really causing some problems right now, and Do you have any information about that?
I don't have any yet. I'll be happy to get back to you
Okay.
when the budget is finalized, which hopefully will be by July 1st, but should be a bit this year. But we'll be happy to formally notify you as soon as we
When do you have office hours in Templeton? It's the first I knew
that
of.
either.
Yeah, first I knew of it.
I usually have them, this month is a bit of an anomaly. I had them before today since I was coming into the select board meeting. Usually I'll have them the second Tuesday of the month because that's what the fall people have requested, and I try to hit you in AFL and Phillipston on the same day. We put them, they're on the town website. We have them on one of Ann's websites, senatoranngoby.com. And we will probably go back to doing the second Tuesday along after this month's.
And are they daytime hours or evening hours?
Usually they're in the afternoon. Or the morning,
it's-
actually, come to think of it. This is
So it's only residents that don't work that can see you.
Right. Well, I schedule them on a monthly basis, so some months I come in the afternoon, or in the evening, I should say, like I did today. So I'd be happy to switch more toward, well, if I'm going to move to the senior center, which is up in the air, then I have to check with them to see what's best for their schedule. So, are you open in the evening on non-select board days?
Till 5. If there are meetings here of other boards, it's open, but
Okay.
not consistently.
It'd have to be something we set up. We could probably arrange it if we had to.
Arrange it.
but
Okay.
I thought we had office hours on Tuesday till 7.
I thought so as well.
We
Yeah,
don't.
I mean, that's what we
Not
voted.
the selectmen's office.
Not at the selectmen's office. I think town clerk is open later, one night, but not selectmen.
Happy to work with you guys on whatever arrangement you want to come up with.
All right, thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
You.
Okay.
I have one other item. Holly just handed me some letters.
Yeah.
These are thank you letters for John Fletcher of Graves Concrete. They have generously donated the concrete for the town vault project over here, and I would ask the board to sign them. Also, DeJandis and Sons, they have generously donated concrete block for the vault project. So this is a thank you letter.
I already have a purple pen. I don't want to sign it.
Yeah. I'll do it afterwards.
All right. I'm going to ask John, you want to come up and could you tell us who's with you?
Yeah, my name is John Tarashuk, 56 Victoria Lane. Mike?
Yeah, talk into the mic
Right here.
so that...
You don't have to talk very Yeah, I actually came for Cook Pond Pump House
Right.
in Force Main. I submitted the paperwork, but actually Nate Wilder, who's with us, is spokesman for the group, and we also have Mike Hubbard, with us.
Okay.
If it's all right with you, I'll just let me.
All right. What do you got for us, Mike? Nate, excuse me.
Nathan Wilder, 19 Victoria Lane, Chairman, Board, residents of Templeton. We've addressed recently the planning board. We've been working with the sewer commissioner, or superintendent, and his commission. And we went to the latest town meeting. We had an article that we submitted, and it failed. We needed a 2/3 vote, and the article was to transfer the ownership of our pump station to the town of Templeton. We have 60 lots in our neighborhood, and we have a homeowners association that operates and maintains our pump station. And looking at the services that the town offers the other 8 pump stations in the town, we want to take advantage of those services. It's a pretty big liability for us as homeowners, and as well as quite a bit of work for working residents to manage this homeowners association. We have Weston and Sampson on retainer. One of my big reasons of getting involved as a a member of the board is to ensure that this pump station is maintained to the higher standard, and with that comes a significant cost. So we spend about $10,000 a year to keep Weston and Sampson on retainer and to do minor maintenance. Maintenance above and beyond that, we pay more. Recently had a engineering study. We hired Kleinfelder. We did a engineering study, cost somewhere in the vicinity of $7,000. Kleinfelder came in, they reviewed the system, it's functioning, and the way it was built, as well as the capacity that it still had to be able to service additional homes within the town that would be able to tie into it. The report was very favorable. It does have capacity. It's being used at about 50% capacity. We're here today to not only talk about our situation, which we're going to continue doing until we hope someday this can transfer ownership. One of the big questions we left that town meeting with is what do we do? What do we do to have the article written in a favorable way? There was some concern on, this could cost the town $10 million. That was a specific quote from one of the folks at the meeting, and I think that was a little outrageous. But okay, what could we do to assure the town? What does the town expect, or at least the board expect? What can we do to make this action more advantageous? And I think that prompted the letter that you received from John. And I think in there he highlighted a couple specific questions. And we're here, we're asking for assistance, we're asking for help, we're asking for guidance. However that help or guidance may come from the board.
I'm speaking for me. What I think you need to do is to work with the sewer commissioners and get them to put an article forward which will take care of your needs. I think that, having been to a few town meetings, that I think the voters are more likely to be supportive if it came from them rather than a citizen's petition, which may or may not have been reviewed by legal counsel, and they're usually not reviewed by ours. So if it comes through that route, I think we're more likely to have a positive outcome here. But again, it all hinges on town meeting. All we can do is call the town meeting. So that's my advice. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
Yeah, John?
If I might interject, there were two articles at the town meeting.
Yes.
One of them was submitted
Correct.
through the select board by the sewer commission.
Right.
If I can comment, John?
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, yes, there were both articles on the town meeting warrant, and they both failed. That wasn't really the issue. The issue was that the homeowners in the neighborhood have a legal right in their deed to that pump station. In order for the town to take it over, the homeowners have to give up that right. So the deeds need to be refiled, giving up that right, and then the homeowner association, once the right's been given up, has to then give the pump station to the town.
So the way I view the action, and this is all right, I can be wrong, I certainly, if it's as easy as that, it's about $100, $150 I can hire.
Yeah.
I can hire a lawyer that could do the batch. Does that action happen prior to the transaction, or does that action happen after the transaction? And it's what came first, the chicken or the egg here.
Right.
And so the article is written in a sense giving the authority to the town to take that. The town votes on it, that's the town saying, hey, we agree to this, we support this, and from there, the homeowners association works with the town to get the legal transaction completed. And that's, I believe, if we went back and we looked at how that article was written, it was phrased in that manner. It gives the authority to enter into that transaction.
Yeah, I'm not a legal expert, so I can't.
I mean,
But
I don't
it
know
was the
that-
deed, it was the right of the deed that
That's
prevented town meeting from agreeing to
That's
it.
why we need our counsel to review it. Kirk, did you have anything you want to
I have some questions. It's not really a question, it's that everyone, every single homeowner has to unanimously say, there cannot be one person who says that they're not willing to do that. So in order to come, in my opinion, in order to come to town meeting and have an action on the floor, and we don't know who might dissent, I almost think it would have to happen almost all together, that everyone maybe signs and says, yes, we're going to do this, you've hired an attorney, the deeds are going to be changed. Also, the town cannot be responsible for recording fees. That's an additional fee. So I think those were the things that were discussed on town floor, not and how the article is worded. It's a gift to the town. We can't pay for that. But technically, when you take over someone's, like a piece of that, there has to be value associated with that. And I think that was part of the issue in the wording. And you said there's 60 lots? 60 people would have to say, we absolutely are willing to give up our right and our property to that, and to that station. So it's kind of twofold. So I don't know, yes, you'd have to go, we already came before town and it wasn't worded correctly, but not knowing whether or not 60 people will say yes to that is also an issue too, again, in my opinion.
And I would think it'd need to be a notarized document
Yep.
that all these signatures, all 60 signatures are valid signatures from the homeowners.
But really, until you give up that right, you have every right not to give up that right. That's really the issue.
And being a land transaction, it's a 2/3 vote. Except, and Kirk, do you have anything you wanted to say?
Well, I think it's going to end up being very complicated again because, number one, the only reason why that subdivision got approved was because it was going to be a private sewer. And there was a lot of people that fought for it to be accessible from the pump station to where it ties into the town, which is all the way down Hubbardston Road. The expansion that these gentlemen speak of is if somebody was going to build upstream of the pump station, and we all know what the likelihood of that is. And so it's not even accessible to the people where the line goes by. But equally as important is that, with all due respect to the people up there, I don't believe the town should be giving, the select board or anybody should be giving advice, legal advice, or guidance, no more than I think the sewer department should be massaging this, because you got to keep in mind, this is a private piece of property right now, and I don't believe that municipal funds should be spent, whether it be from the sewer department's lawyers, their attorneys, their engineers, or whatever, to be giving advice. And I'm not for or against this. I just, because being on the planning board, I'll just put myself in a neutral spot. But from a taxpayer, I think the town needs to be very careful right now, because we have private individuals trying to give private property to the town. Where do we draw the line? Expending municipal funds for advice. And I think everybody needs to be very careful before they open their mouth and give it to them. I think they need to make a presentation to the town. It's either good or bad. I don't believe we should be using town funds for it. And I think that's what we're doing right now by saying work with the sewer department. And then going back to the sewer department, one more strike against them. They flip-flop. They were the ones that pushed so hard for this private line. The only way the subdivision went in was if it was a private line. Then the board members changed, and now they flip. I think, if anything, the sewer department should change their regulations, which would definitely help their cause. The regulations speak a lot stronger than if they're just one member away from the next election. Now somebody goes on there and say, you know what, we don't like this again. The sewer department are the ones that created this problem. Now they're trying to throw everybody under the bus. Now they want it. Well, what's it going to mean by the time we get to the polls next time? I think the sewer department needs to change their regulations to at least have a guideline, something for these people to follow. But right now, they say there's no private lines allowed, we don't want them. They actually shot another subdivision down. Planning board went to court, and we lost against the applicant because the sewer department did just the opposite. They said no private lines. And that's exactly what this is. So, this started more controversy than we were trying to settle that. I'm going to take a total neutral position on this, but I think the town as a whole needs to be careful. When the sewer department's created, they should at least change their regs to get it in the right direction.
That does sound reasonable. And,
Thank you.
I mean, personally, I don't think that we're giving you legal advice or anything. I'm just telling you how I feel is that I think we need to have the sewer commission involved in the process. Otherwise, it's just going to be very difficult to do. All right, so keep it up, and hopefully we'll have a good conclusion.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for the.
Thank you. I wondered where that was.
Is Mary Monahan here?
Actually, I'm here for Mary.
You don't look like Mary.
How do we not discuss?
I'll take that as a compliment, I guess.
We've always discussed
She's not
the
here.
projects.
And you are?
I am Eric Bernard, and I'm the Vice President with Fussinonian.
Okay.
And I'm here to give you a brief overview, I guess, of the proposal that we submitted to Bud Chase. We've been working with them and with the town administrator for the engineering and reconstruction of Royston Road, Route 68. I do, Mr. Chairman, have a board that just shows the location. I'll try to speak up loud enough, although I'm sure most of you are familiar with the location. We did prepare a little map that goes along with the proposal to just illustrate the project's extents of this reconstruction project. And so we're looking at over in the northwest side of Royston Road, Route 68, at the town line with Royston on Colony, where it intersects Colony. That would be our starting point, and then we would head southeast or east and then south on Route 68 for approximately 2.5 miles to the intersection of King Philip Trail or Route 202. And we would include, there's a little small section of 100 feet on Old Royston Road where the intersection comes down, and some safety improvements are likely to be necessary in that location. And so what we've done is we went and toured the site with Mr. Chase, and we then went ahead and have looked at doing a survey and doing a wetland study that would be necessary for the road improvement. We then formulated a proposal for you that would bring you through the DOT process. We've broken it down because this will be a multi-year process. We have broken it down into a couple of different phases. The first phase would be doing all the baseline work, all the survey work, all the wetlands. We would then do an engineering analysis of what our recommendations would be to fix the road. And we would work with the DPW naturally and the select board and other stakeholders that would like to be included in the process to then formulate a construction cost. We would work with Mass DOT to do a project information form and a project need form so that we would submit them to get them on the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Funding Program. And that would be the first phase, what we call Phase A in our proposal. The second phase, which is the substantial engineering documents and environmental permitting, is sort of the largest phase of the project. That would be done in the subsequent year. And then the final phase would be bidding and final construction documents for the project. The project does have a few unique challenges. We've got a little bit of some tight right-of-ways through the project. We also have about a half a dozen wetlands project crossings over the 2.5 miles. And part of the typical design work that we do and the go back and forth that we have with the town and the stakeholders is Mass DOT has standards. They like to have certain widths, certain lanes, certain configurations. Sometimes we either need to have a little more land to get that accomplished, which may be more costly. Sometimes the wetlands crossings could be costly. So what we try to do is come up with a whole bunch of options that we, like I said, will review with DPW and the selectmen and any other stakeholders that were a party to this. And we would work through it. And then at the end of that first phase, we would have what we would call a project. And that would be, would determine lane widths and shoulders and how many wetlands crossings and the size and extents of all that, along with an estimate for us to submit for the DOT project.
I do have a question. Currently, the road, has deteriorated over time, but some of the deterioration is due to some of the sub-base has giant, boulders and things in it. I know you're not at the engineering stage yet, but when it's engineered, will the base be secure that we don't have to worry about this type of erosion again?
Yeah, there's a couple of
however far
things.
down the road?
there's a couple of things that we plan to do. Thank you for that question. We are going to do geotechnical borings during that first phase also. The first phase is really all the field work and then the initialization and figuring out exactly what we're going to do for the project. But there are a couple of things that we're going to recommend right now. Part of this project is a little bit easier than the typical project because there's not a lot of curb cuts, which allows us to go ahead and lift the road and go ahead and change the grading on the road and improve the drainage without having a lot of, when you're in a business district, every time we lifted the road, we'd have to worry about every neighbor and every curb cut. And that doesn't happen as frequently here, and so that's not as big an issue. And some of our first thoughts are that we would actually reclaim the existing asphalt and blend it. What we do is we blend it out in the field to have it be a new subbase. So more than likely, the whole road would be lifted. And whether some of it is only lifted 6 inches, that could happen. But some areas of the road, including the sags where the wetlands are, in order to do some drainage improvements, we'd probably lift the road. We could be lifting the road as much as a foot or a foot and a half in some areas. But we would do it without having to bring in an enormous amount of off-site fill. That's part of the reason why we reclaim the base material. So it would be ground in place, and then it would be mixed with other gravels to make a very suitable base material before the pavement went in.
And that would happen during the construction phase, obviously.
That would, but part of it is when we do the geotechnical borings, we also do pavement cores, and so those pavement cores help us determine. I know there's not a lot of pavement in a lot of those places, but in some areas, there's a I don't know, 800-yard stretch that was repaved 20 years ago, that we might have, 4 to 5 inches of pavement, whether it's broken up or not, that will be reclaimed in the process.
So, I don't know, did you answer the question about the big boulders? Will those be removed? Or?
No, those typically wouldn't be moved. We would typically lift on top of it.
Okay.
Yeah. If the grade below is such that they have to be moved, then we would move them. So we would specify a minimum thickness of subbase, and what they do is they mix that, and obviously if they hit some of these large boulders, some of them would either need to be moved or the tops taken off, depending upon how large they are.
All right. Any other questions of Mr. Bernard? All right, thank you.
It's going to take 5 years or more to get that new road in.
Yes, I've heard from several of the residents.
I'm one of those.
Yeah.
You talk about boulders.
slopes to approve.
I know I'm going to go first.
All right. Minutes of,
We have to have a vote
we have to vote what?
Go forward.
to have him move forward with the engineering,
Phase 1.
with faith.
All right, do we have a motion to move forward with phase 1?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Not, Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes?
Julie?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, it's unanimous.
We go.
All right, minutes of June 8th. Anyone notice any errors or omissions?
Yeah, if you could give me just a second, please.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of Monday, June 8th, 2015.
I second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes?
Julie?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we're unanimous. Appointments.
Put that information in there about the Templeton Elementary School Building Committee,
Right.
so we can hopefully make a decision on that tonight.
Yes.
And I think there was a question about Mr. Graziano being on there, and it looks like
State regulation
be.
requires the building principal
Correct.
to be on there. thank you to Diane for enlightening us. So, we have, I believe, the school building committee.
Actually, this says that it's currently Ken Robinson who's on the TESBC, and it's me, not Ken.
Oh,
It's-
maybe it was the first year and I had the old information.
Yeah,
Sorry
it's
about
me, and I would like to continue on the,
All right.
on that committee, sorry. So I don't know
What
how
I
you
did
wanna,
The list. Let's see.
yeah, it says here I'm the current member.
This is on the other paper.
All right, so we will,
Yes.
unless I hear any objections, we will cross out Ken and put Diane in that position on the building committee.
So,
Can we vote those other members in as well?
And the other members that we will appoint tonight are Henry Mason from the school committee, Dr. Hemmond, the superintendent of schools, the building maintenance supervisor for Clayball, representative of the town, which would be Kirk Machete, school principal, John Graziano, and 3 community members, Teresa Casper, Kerry Kojal, Chris Stewart.
I would make it a motion that we appoint these people to the Templeton Elementary School Building Committee.
The second motion.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none. Diane?
yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. All right, do we have any other?
Yeah, we have that other list. Andre Chartier and Bob Pease to the Agricultural Commission, because they had to add two
Yep.
after that passed the town meeting. And then Bob Markle, all of his appointments on there. Kate Myers as treasurer collector, Carol Lee Eaton as assistant treasurer collector, and Richard Hanks as the trench safety agent. And then whatever you guys pick for appointments.
All right, so shall we,
How do you wanna do this?
if there's no objections, I would go through the Charity Pease, Markle, Myers, Eaton, Hanks. If somebody wants to make a motion to appoint them, do that in one motion,
Yeah.
unless somebody objects.
I'll make a motion. Sorry.
What's that?
Oh, it's on like the last, you didn't get that page, Julie? Is it flipped? No, I have it. Do you have it, Julie?
What are you talking about?
It's in the packet.
Oh, I thought she was asking who those people are. Are you all set, Julie? I'll make a motion.
So, thank you.
I make a motion to appoint Andre Chartier and Bob Pease to the Agricultural Commission. Robert Marco, Town Administrator. Also, Montechusett Joint Transportation Committee alternate. Wow. And Montechusett Regional Planning Commission alternate. Municipal Hearing Officer, Procurement Officer, and Mart Advisory Board. Also, Kate Myers to Town Treasurer Collector, Carol Lee Eaton to Assistant Treasurer Collector, and Richard Hanks to Trench Safety Agent for Public Works.
I'll second that.
All right. Discussion. Hearing none. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I vote yes, so it'll be unanimous.
Okay.
Okay. Each of, what are we supposed to write in our choices here?
Yeah, that was kind of a nudging, so you guys would pick.
Well, I thought we had done that at the last meeting. I mean, I can stand corrected on this.
No, Alicia had been emailing.
I thought we had discussed it and,
She said we hadn't all chosen.
okay, because some of us had replied to
Right.
Alicia and others haven't, is that right?
I think so, and she didn't have anything conclusive, so I thought if you guys want to just do it here and pick what you want to be on.
So the emails I remembered was that unless you had some objection, you would remain on the committees that you were on, which I'm fine with staying on the 3 committees that I'm on.
And you're on what?
Stormwater, town building assessment, and the oversight for the senior center,
How about capital planning?
and capital planning also, yes.
That's right.
Yep, so there's 4.
So there's one for capital planning, one for stormwater, and one for oversight. We need 2 people for oversight. Okay. Capital planning is just one. These were the ones that I said, mine are stormwater, emergency planning, building assessment, school building committee, and the budget subcommittee. Those were the ones I said I would remain on, but there were still other slots open for oversight, and it's whatever people choose. So I don't mind staying on mine unless anybody else has an objection.
I was on the TDC committee, pandemic, and I think the trust funds. Do we have one trust fund committee, or is there a different committee for each fund?
All the selectmen are appointed as trustees for all of the trust funds.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you also indicated an interest in being on the reuse committee, correct?
I will, but I think that Julie wanted to do that, and I
Well, we
have no
could.
issue with that.
But we're gonna have to check with ethics to make
I
sure.
believe we checked on that, Mr. Marco.
Did you?
Very discussed
We have to
that.
check on it for Julie, because I didn't hear you, John, I'm sorry.
Julie is an employee
Oh.
and works up there, and I wanna
Can
make
she
sure.
be on that committee then?
We'll have to check and make sure.
Okay. We want to get a definitive
Sure.
answer because
Okay.
it amounts to thousands of dollars. So we'll put that off until the next meeting.
Just that one committee? Julie, what other ones do you want to be on?
I wouldn't mind being on the open space committee and the oversight committee and planning for the construction of the senior center.
It's an open space.
I can't be on all of them.
Senior center.
There's no way I'm going to be able to do this and that too.
And,
And we're holding on the other one.
okay,
Check
okay.
with legal.
For now, we'll do open space and senior center.
Is that on there?
Okay, so we have Julie for open space and senior center. Doug was, I'm sorry,
Stormwater, building assessment, senior center, and capital planning.
assessment, senior center, planning. Didn't Ken say something about economic development?
I asked him if he would, I was on that, but he wants to,
Oh, you know what? He's not here. We can-
right, we can appoint him to whatever, so appoint him to economic
You're either at the
development.
table or you're on the menu.
Right. That's not even on here. Why is that not on here?
How about the NRSD school
Oh, there
building
it is.
subcommittee? Is anybody interested in that?
I'm doing that.
You're doing that one?
I said I would, yeah. I didn't hear any
We can still
objection.
appoint him to these, whether it's on there or not.
Okay, it's here, so there's just one. So we have 2 for building assessment, 2 for oversight, 2 for pandemic, 1, 2. Well, we're putting Ken on that too, because he was already on there. So we're good.
And
And
are
I-
you still doing the school building committee?
Yeah. Yeah, everything I was before is what I'm still on.
You're doing that.
Yeah, I just, yeah.
And these are all one-year appointments,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
So, All right, I need to know like how to make the motion. So Doug, these are the four, these are the three that you're, no, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then John, you're pandemic and, oh, we're not doing reuse. And Ken is pandemic and economic?
Well, right now, what I have down for me is the reuse committee and pandemics.
Yeah.
If there's any, I'll take anything that's not.
I don't think there's
covered.
anything left.
Yeah, I'll take whatever's left.
And then there's me, and then Julie is open space, senior center, and maybe reuse, right?
Which we're.
So we're not gonna do
We're
reuse.
holding, we're not gonna do that.
Okay, so just those two then, right?
Sure.
Alrighty, let me see. I don't want to make a motion for my own, but I make a motion that we appoint Doug Morrison to Stormwater Committee, Town Building Assessment Committee, Oversight Committee for Planning and Construction of a Senior Center, and Capital Planning. I need a second.
Second.
You shouldn't second yourself, that's okay.
So.
Do you want me to do them all, and then,
Read them
okay, and I
all.
make a
Read them
motion
all,
to appoint
and
John
then,
to Pandemic Response Management Team, Ken Robinson to Economic Development Committee and Pandemic Response Management Team, Diane Haley Brooks to Stormwater Committee, Templeton Emergency Planning Committee, Town Building Assessment, Templeton Elementary School Building, and NRSD School Budget Subcommittee, and Julie Richard to Open Space, I have to say it right,
Senior centers.
Open Space and, oh my God, I don't even see it. And the Oversight Committee for Planning and Construction of a Senior Center. Now we need a second.
Second that motion.
Now, after the meeting, get with Holly and make
Yes,
sure that we
yes, I will.
have everything.
Yes,
Because some of us forget very easily.
I will do that with Holly.
So we have a motion, we have a second?
Yes.
You made a motion, right?
Yes,
I made the second.
Oh, I'm
and Julie
sorry.
made the second.
Okay,
Sorry.
moved and seconded. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Holly, you have it, we have to do
So we're just
the
waiting on the
reuse.
reuse committee, and that was it, right?
All right. Pieces of paper. All right, so are we done with appointments? All right. Steve?
So I believe in your package you may have a
Yeah, wait there.
license renewal report. I actually made copies for everybody else. What I'd like to do is keep you abreast of what we're doing with the cable license report and where we're at with it and what the plans are, and also get some of your feedback and ideas of how we may move forward with this. So, just as a background, so here's what I want to say. Just as a background, and we've covered this before, but in case, thank you, in case people don't realize it, the contract expires this year, it's going to be renewed. The funding to maintain the cable station is set through the contract. We take up to 5% of the TV revenues. Right now, we take 2%. And we've always been very honest about this. I'm not sure other communities are. The money does come from the cable bills as a franchise fee. So it's something that we have to think about. And in discussions with our attorney, Bill Solomon, he would like to schedule some public hearings on July 20th. He wanted to schedule one in the afternoon for departments and one in the evening. So my first question is, do we want to have two? Do you think one would be enough, or?
Well, he wanted to do departments in the morning. And, what's important is that there is a process, and part of the process is to hear from the public about what they would like to see for a cable system in the community. Now, experience is that the turnout is not particularly high, but this
Still have to
process is
give them the
necessary.
opportunity.
The process is necessary.
So do we want to have 2 hearings? Or?
I think we definitely have to have one at night, Steve. For the, you want to meet with the department heads, or is that what you were saying?
I think that was his idea, and he'd like to meet with them July 1st as well.
Right, he'd like to meet with department heads, see what their thoughts are, since they're engaged in a whole variety of activities that the public may be interested in.
Yeah, I think he probably would be better off to do 2 then, if you need to have all the department heads in.
Well, he's talking about a meeting July 1st with the department heads, but then also a hearing on July 20th during the day with departments, so town employees would have a chance to come to it. I think thinking that they may not want to come at night and get the public at night.
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable.
Okay. We can do that then. And what I listed here were some benefits of what we could think of at the cable committee to expanding the TV station, and certainly more local programming, shows about Templeton, maybe some shows about artisans and crafts people in the community, things with the senior center, certainly more meetings, and that really requires a station manager or a staff person. We really can't handle all that right now with 3 people on kind of nominal stipends. And with our operating budget, it's, you could maybe get a part-time person at best out of that. So with the money that we get right now. And we also talked about setting up a 501c nonprofit, which I think was a good idea, especially with liability issues, with programming. I'd like to revamp the town notices that appear. It's just a visual thing, but I think it's time for an upgrade there. And one of the best parts of getting more funding could be really helping the school produce a vibrant program for video production. They've had a basic program in place. We gifted them some equipment to do that years ago, and I'm in discussions with the technology director there, and hopefully we're going to sit down with the STEM director next month and see if we can start putting the pieces together for a more vibrant curriculum for them to do that. And kids have smartphones and they're taking video all the time, and we're talking about pieces of equipment where they can take that video and then upload them somewhere and maybe get into video production. So that could be a good program for the school moving forward, and give the town a feeder program like Sean, who does a great job with our video technician work, came from that program, and we're hoping to get a lot more with that. And we could also, with more money and some of the money we already have set aside, build a proper recording studio and maintain it. And I would say to that, don't just think about it as a recording studio for TV, because we don't know what's going to happen with cable TV. It may go away in a few years and everything may go to streaming, and this may be something that has to be self-funded. If we keep it going and put the videos online and put all the meetings online and stream everything, maybe it turns into something different than that. And maybe it's, a new technology that's coming around, and so if we can build a space that doesn't necessarily have $100,000 worth of fancy TV broadcasting equipment in it, maybe it's to build a space that can be flexible to handle that and make it a technology asset for the town going forward. And I think you have to think all this stuff is related with TV and broadband, and what mass broadband could possibly do for the town. And I think part of it is figuring out what's best for the town, and is this an investment in technology for the future? So, if we do that and include some participation from local organizations and merchants, we might be able to bring the community closer together in a way. Some communities use these stations to also do fundraising, like the Rotary auction that happens in Gardner, and I think AOTV in Athol does an auction to fundraise for themselves, but maybe there's fundraising opportunities for organizations in the town through a more vibrant TV station. And you can tell the story of Templeton through it. So those are just some of the benefits that I've put together and we'll put together on the cable committee. And if everybody has any other ideas, my name and number is at the bottom of the sheet I handed out. I don't think it was on the sheet I gave to the select people, but please reach out to me and let me know. And if any organizations that you know can benefit from this, or would want to see more of this, please let me know as well.
You have on here the tie into emergency response.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I skipped over that. I'm talking with Rich Curtis and also the consultants, that we brought in about how we might be able to tie the station to emergency response to put on emergency alerts. Say if, lately with storms and tornadoes in Western Mass the past few years, you never know when a storm's going to hit. And there is technology that they can automate. So for instance, emergency response could hop on a computer somewhere and say, okay, storm alert, and it could go out on Channel 8. Now I understand the consultants say some communities have gone away from that, but we are having them look into them. We just have to get the proper communication protocols as well. We're going to talk to the fire chief about doing GIS so we can locate all the hydrants in town. I'm not sure how that could work with cable, but we're looking into it. And Ryan Rosengren at the police station and I have been playing phone tag on police communications, but we're hoping that there may be something there as well. So thank you for pointing that out. I'm sorry I skipped over it.
Well, I think it's a big selling.
Yeah. So, other responsibilities that